all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
A lifetime of hard work, children laughing in the kitchen, family photos on a restaurant wall, a legacy that lives on. It all comes from the power of a conversation, like the one Tommy Hall had with First Horizon Bank about taking over his father's Charleston-based restaurant business. Now the table is set for a whole new generation. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Tommy. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and gender nonconforming individuals to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Today is Tuesday, November 14th, 2023. Thank you so much for joining me. As you can probably tell by my absence and by the quality of my microphone, I am not in my normal position to record podcasts. That's because I have been engulfed in a 2.5-week research project that is the culmination of several years of research that I have not been publicly discussing whatsoever. But recently I had a chance to share with Dr. Mack. You will recall he is not only a friend of the show, but was a co-host of our morning show for some time. And I am excited to have been able to share my findings of what I've been working on with Dr. Mack. The work I'm doing is still a work in progress, and so I will give you more information about that throughout this episode. But before I proceed too hastily to where I've been and what I've been up to and how what I've been up to is beneficial both for those people who use AI, but also beneficial for our goals as progressives, I want to circle back to some of the issues that have been ongoing since I have been away. I have kept my eye on what is happening in Palestine. I have kept my heart on what is happening in Gaza. And somewhere near 12,000 Palestinians have been killed. 5,000 or more of them children. This is one of the situations that forced me to reconsider my approach, because the work that I do, I hope that my work can contribute to progress. And it was in the reality of what is going on in Gaza and the United States complicity with it, the fact that we are funding something that can only be called a genocide. And furthermore, the fact that we have so many people who are trying to convince us otherwise. It really shook me to my core, and I believe that it is the catalyst for a realignment. I believe that we must keep our eyes and ears open to the changing landscape that is coming as a result of America's commitment to giving Benjamin Netanyahu and the far right-wing government of Israel everything they need to obliterate the Palestinian people. To that end, it is in that helplessness, it is in the feeling of helplessness, the fact that nothing that I could do, nothing that any of us, we are collectively as a nation screaming at the top of our lungs that we do not want any parts of this genocide. We don't want our tax dollars to support this genocide. And as a matter of moral clarity, we condemn it at every level. But despite all of that, we find ourselves over a month into a conflict that has now a 10-to-1 retaliation ratio, where the right-wing government of Benjamin Netanyahu has killed 10 times as many individuals as Hamas killed on October 7th. And now I want to say something that I don't feel I have the need to say, but I want to say it to make sure that everyone is clear. I not only condemn Hamas's actions on October 7th with a level of moral clarity in no uncertain terms, I condemn it because of the attack that killed civilians, women and children. My heart does not distinguish between children who are killed, whether they be Palestinian or whether they be Israeli. So I condemn it as a matter of morality and moral clarity, but I also condemn it because what was their plan? What was their big idea? Unless their idea was that they could destabilize the region such that Israel would launch a retaliatory strike that would spill over into the broader Middle East and causing a potential world war, if that was their plan, then they succeeded. But if their plan was the liberation of the Palestinian people, Hamas was not equal to the task, neither militarily nor strategically. So not only do I condemn Hamas as a matter of moral clarity, but I condemn them because they were stupid and have gotten so many people killed because they unleashed the rage and the wrath of a very evil man by the name of Benjamin Netanyahu, who I condemn equally. Benjamin Netanyahu has used the attack of October 7th to forward his agenda of occupying the northern Gaza territories. They have leveled that region with carpet bombing, displacing some 1 million Palestinians on the north side of Gaza, forcing them into the south while simultaneously bombing them. And so if Hamas's big plan was the liberation of Palestinian people, which I stand in solidarity with, the Palestinian people deserve liberation. But Hamas had no mechanism by which they could bring it. All they have brought is suffering. And while this is not going to make me popular amongst anyone, neither the supporters of Palestine nor the supporters of Israel, that is my reality. Hamas is an abysmal failure, and the political leader who is gallivanting around the world on television, he should be held accountable. But that's not happening. What's happening? The children of Palestine are being slaughtered. And it is that issue that forces me to look in the mirror and say, what the hell am I doing? What are we doing as Americans, as human beings? What are we doing about any of the atrocities that are being committed in our name? I pause and reflect on what has been happening in Yemen at the hands of the Saudi Arabian government with the support of the United States government, allowing them to kill hundreds of thousands of Yemenis because of the Houthi-backed rebels. The same exact scenario where an administration, a far right-wing ethno-nationalist state, I don't care what your ethnicity is, I don't care what your religion is, they all behave the same way when we allow a far right-wing ethno-nationalist government to deal with their quote-unquote minority populations. Then we see the barbarity that is happening in Gaza, as well as the barbarity that is happening in Yemen. And we see that the United States of America is behind both of them. And that, my friends, that is a reason to pause and reflect on what any of us are doing. When we come back, I have to deal with a white Christian nationalist devil who has ascended to the very top of this government in the form of the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. We'll discuss his ascent to power and what that means to the United States as we deal with this ongoing coup. And also later in today's episode, I will be going over exactly where I've been and what I've been working on. The news is exciting and I feel it may be game-changing. Or at least that's what my dear friend Dr. Mack thinks. And we'll share a clip of that as well. We'll be back with more of the Benjamin Dixon Show after this.
Switch sides, like even when I die, I'ma ride for the squad, let her ties in the hearse. I've been on a vibe, kinda
know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
This morning in North Carolina, wheels are spinning. Determination is winning. A passion is now a thriving business, and it shows no signs of slowing down. How? The power of a conversation, like the one Clint Spiegel had with First Horizon Bank about starting a bike wheel manufacturing facility in Asheville. Now it's not just talk, it's rubber meets road. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Clint. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Welcome back. I want to just give you a preview before we get into the conversation about Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. I want to give you a preview of the work I have been doing, and since I've been gone for the past 2.5 weeks, going into 3 weeks, I've been away doing some diligent work in research, and it's work in research about research, and I have developed a set of tools that, without question, has made ChatGPT perform better. And I know that seems like quite a wild assessment coming from a guy that you've been listening to for years, just talk about politics. Well, one thing my mama taught me when I was younger is don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And so quiet as it's kept, there are quite a few things that I've worked on consistently over the years that I've just never mentioned publicly. And I want to just give you a taste of the reaction that Dr. Carl Mack had when we applied my methodological tools in ChatGPT for the purposes of answering historical questions that he is an expert on. And I put it in that context because the tools, while I believe that it will be beneficial to everyone, they most certainly can be most beneficial to those people who are experts in their field, who are looking to push the envelope in their field. Here's Dr. Mack's reaction to the work I was able to show.
Let me tell you what my overarching feeling about this experience with you today has been. I am so incredibly impressed and proud of you, black man. Ben, I didn't even know you could fuck with AI like you doing. Now you may have to bleep that part out. Ben, this is the fact that you could go in there and teach AI. You teach it. I'm watching you teach this AI system to try to look at my questions through my black perspective.
Yeah.
Ben, I am so proud of you, black man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You never cease to amaze me. That what you've just given me today, man, there's some things in life that you would pay a lot of money for just because of the experience. And I got this experience today for free.
Wow, that was Dr. Carl Mack after I had a chance to share with him the work that I've been working on over the last 2.5 weeks intensively, day in and day out, hours and hours and hours of committed work in artificial intelligence for the purposes of something totally different. I didn't get into artificial intelligence to improve artificial intelligence in so much as it appears as though I have a contribution to make. I got into it for a totally different reason. I needed it to perform better for me to accomplish a specific goal. And in the process of accomplishing my specific goal, I found very interesting things about artificial intelligence when it comes to the intersection of science, but specifically when it comes to the intersection of history and the subjectivity that it gives way to in history versus the robustness of its scientific framework. We'll discuss that in a bit before I get too far down that rabbit hole, because I'm going to tell you the honest truth. When it comes to me, placing my energy where it can actually have an impact for society, I find myself less likely to talk about politics. I'm not ending the show by any measure. I love you all too much, and I love this work that I do too much, but I have had to force myself into doing and focusing on a field that I believe can generate some significant results. And it's not results for me, it's results for the people. Because if you've known me long enough, you know that that's what drives me, even to my own self-detriment at times, but not this time. I digress. Mike Johnson. I'm not going to play a clip of this guy. The last episode I did, it was the day after he was elected as Speaker of the House. And on that episode, I gave you commentary, and I've been giving commentary about the nature of the Democrats in Congress playing it too tight and giving room for someone like Mike Johnson, who is a Christian nationalist, who is the next step towards a theocratic fascist state. Now, if you would allow me to pause and just reflect on a critical detail here that's really important and very significant to me. My heart is in Gaza. If you ask me what is on my mind when I think about politics and the world, it's not Mike Johnson. It's not Christian nationalism anymore. It's what's happening in Gaza. But when I pause and think about what I can do for the people of Gaza as compared to what I can do against Christian nationalism, I collect myself and I collect my heart and I get back to work, because there's a work that we must do in this country against Christian nationalism, that while it takes my energy and my passion away from focusing like a laser on what's going on in Gaza, I know that if we take our eye off the ball as it pertains to Christian nationalism, we are going to see the fall of not only liberal democracy worldwide, but American democracy here in the United States of America. Now, whereas I do believe that the United States of America must pay its debt because of the many crimes, war crimes, atrocities, violence, oppression, injustices that have come as a result of the United States of America. While I do believe America, if they honestly believe in God, I think like Thomas Jefferson, who says, I tremble for my country when I consider that God is just and his justice won't sleep always. While I know America has a price to pay, I also know that I'm raising children here. And I want this country to succeed, if for no other reason but my own selfish reasons, that I need the United States of America to remain stable as long as I've got children here, grandchildren here. So there is a mixed bag in my heart. But in my heart, I know number one priority is a ceasefire and to protect the lives of the children of Palestine. Number one. Number two, we have got to stop Christian nationalism, because if there's any threat to this country, true threat to the United States of America, the existential threat is from within. The call is coming from within the house. And so when I see a Christian nationalist in the order of Mike Johnson, a Christian nationalist who believes that he has been called by God to force their version of Christianity onto all Americans, I can tell you with a certain level of clarity that in no uncertain terms, I can tell you both as a Christian and as a pastor that he is the furthest thing from a messenger from God. He has not been called to do any of the things that any of these Christian nationalists claim God has called them to do. That's a sidebar. Back to the politics. The politics of this is that if the United States of America is not careful, it will be the collision of Joe Biden's decision to back Benjamin Netanyahu, combined with the relentless efforts of Christian nationalists around this country who are still 100% committed to overthrowing this democracy for the sake of installing a theocratic fascist dictatorship if necessary. They will destroy democracy. They will destroy this country for the purposes of forwarding their agenda and what they believe God has called them to do. If we are not careful, we will find ourselves with someone in the White House, someone like Donald Trump or someone like Ron DeSantis, who would be more than happy to sign any draconian legislation sent up to them from a speaker, Mike Johnson. Now, how one balances that out with the reality that America is committing genocide, or at least America is funding and supporting genocide in Israel, I cannot, absolutely won't even try. I won't attempt to tell you what to do in this upcoming election or even how to think or how to feel about it. I'm just sharing what I know and what I feel is that a man like Mike Johnson should never have been allowed to get into the speakership. But we are where we are. And the question is how do we go from here? How do we try to form a coalition that could respond to the level of threat that we are really facing? Like, how do you try to assemble a coalition to oppose the Republican Party when so many of us are heartbroken because of the actions of this party, especially and specifically and precisely because what they are supporting in Palestine? The road ahead is certainly not clear. The road ahead is tumultuous at best. But somehow, some way, we are going to have to find a way to prevent the theocrats, the theocratic fascists, the Christian nationalists, those people who not only want to control who you love, they not only want to control who you marry, they want to control what you do in your bedroom. Meanwhile, they are not living up to any standard that they try to force on you. Here's the thing, as a preacher, as a pastor, one of the reasons I don't talk about that on this show, number one, was because I never had need to, because the politics of my faith align brilliantly with the people of good faith, those of us who want to see all people liberated, those of us who want to see everyone's freedoms maximized. We want to see progress. We want those of us who don't care what you believe, those of us who don't care if you don't believe. All I know is that those of us who absolutely care about humanity and care about progress and care about peace and care about sustainability and care about this planet, those of us, we are unfortunately in a very difficult space. We're facing very difficult decisions, very difficult times. And I can't honestly tell you how you should react or respond to it. All I'm going to tell you is what I'm going to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fight like hell to not only oppose and stop the continued genocide that's happening in Gaza, but also to ensure that Mike Johnson never gets a president who would help him usher in the Republic of Gilead versus the United States of America. All right, when we come back, a little bit more from my good friend, Dr. Mack, as I was able to share with him a portion of my work. And again, the work that I'm doing in AI, part of it was unintentional because of my overarching goal. My goal was not to get into the world of AI. My overarching goal was to use AI for political reasons, for the advancement of humanity, for progress. The future will be progressive. But in the result, in the process of doing so, turns out that I was able to make it function a little bit better. We'll be back with more of the Benjamin Dixon Show right after this.
Saudi so soon in my presence. The world going through it outside, they unruly, but I keep it cool, they can't press me. I keep it pure with intention. They see what I'm on, ain't no vixen. I might slide through with that top down. I keep it tuned with a high power. Put it on me, I'm blessed. Blessed. Big bag, manifest the sky, no stress. Keep no evil around me, can't ground me. I built it since when I had less. No hex on God, can't pop. Look at how far we progress.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Welcome back. I want to, again, I just want to play, for those of you who have been with me long enough to know Dr. Carl Mack, you know that he's not only a historian, but he's an engineer. And he was the former president of the National Association of Black Engineers, a brilliant man who himself has been called on by major corporations to do significant work, both in the fields of history and consultation for other reasons that I will not disclose. He will disclose those at his time. I had a chance to roll out and test my work in AI with Dr. Mack. And for context, this work that I'm doing, again, it was personal for me. I was trying to work on something, and that something I will reveal in time, soon enough. I'll share with you the whole reason that I got into this work. In the process of doing this work, I realized that what I came up with and what I designed is something that is beneficial, not only to everyone, just regular users, but really specifically to people who are experts in their field, who understand the details and the nuances of their field. It is a very precise tool that is best suited for scientific research. I say that to say, if there's any of you in the audience who have expertise in any of the hard sciences, we can do a demonstration for you. If you're in, history or economics or philosophy, that's fine. But I'm particularly looking for people who are doing work in the hard sciences and you understand the research in your field. I would email me. Yeah, hit me up. There's some things that we can talk about. Hit me up on Twitter, if nothing else. Now, I want to play this clip. It's a brief clip, and it doesn't give you all of the details in terms of what I'm doing in artificial intelligence, but it will give you the nuance. This is a particular nuance that is important in the field of history. Anyone who does research in the field of history understands that you go to a primary source, primary documents. That is the number one step that you take when you are doing research in history. Well, as it turns out, almost every single artificial intelligence platform, from ChatGPT to Google's platforms and all the rest of them that Dr. Mack had tested, did not consult primary documents that were accessible to them when it came to Black history. But what it did instead was to take a consensus approach to try to both sides the history of the Civil War and the racist symbol that is the Confederate flag. Listen in.
You got two Black men sitting around asking these questions about our history. And if people don't have a firm understanding of these historical documents, this AI system can give you an answer that leads you wayward. When we ask the question, is the Confederate flag a symbol of racism? And then it's given an answer that says, well, a lot of people believe it is, and then some people don't think it is. I don't give a what a lot of people think or some people think. If I'm asking you, is it a symbol of racism? What takes it from the realm of being subjective to the realm of being objective? Well, let's go back. There were 11 Southern states that seceded from the Union. When they seceded from the Union, why did they tell you they were seceding from the Union? Now, being from Mississippi, let's go to the Mississippi letter of secession. But how many folks are going to know, oh, Mississippi had a letter of secession? Most people don't even know that there was a constitution written by the Confederacy. And what was the fundamental difference between the Constitution of the Confederacy versus the Constitution of the United States? Most people don't know who the vice president of the Confederacy was, Alexander Stephens. So they damn sure don't know that he wrote a cornerstone speech where he explicitly, undeniably, clearly stated our government is founded upon exactly the opposite ideas. Its foundations rest upon the cornerstone, the great truth that the Negro is not equal to the white man, that slavery is the subordinate and the subordination to the superior is natural and normal. They don't know these facts. And so now, if you don't know it, it makes it a debatable subject. The Confederate flag is a symbol of racism. History is very clear.
Well, yes, the true history is very clear, but the layers that we have to go through just to get to that truth from these technologies, like you know how to beeline directly to it from your experience and like you said, most people don't know that there was a constitution for the Confederacy, right? The problem with AI that I have seen, and I think ironically enough, history is the best example of the real problem with AI, exactly how we figured out in this, and you pointed us to in this conversation. It's easier to get direct answers when it's something from the hard sciences because numbers don't lie. But when we have to wade through consensus, which consensus does not always reflect primary sources.
or being, like that Willie Lynch letter.
Yes.
But let me tell you what my overarching feeling about this experience with you today has been. I am so incredibly impressed and proud of you, black man. Ben, I didn't even know you could with AI like you doing. Now you may have to bleep that part out. But man, the fact that you could go in there and teach AI, you teaching AI. I'm watching you teach this AI system to try to look at my questions through my Black perspective.
Yeah.
Ben, I am so proud of you, black man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
You never cease to amaze me.
I'm going to cut it there. I know I didn't give you a lot of insights into exactly what I have been doing. And many of you may not know Dr. Carl Mack. But for those of you who do know him, you know that he operates with a level of excellence that I admire. That said, I will share this much with you. In the process of working on the project for which I needed AI, I found that AI came up wanting in quite a few areas of analysis. And it was through my efforts to overcome the shortcomings that were blocking my own research. I ended up developing a set of tools that made AI perform better. And the final test, to be quite honest with you, while I can robustly demonstrate to just about anyone in your field, especially if you're in the hard sciences, I can show you the improvement. I think the Achilles heel, if not, maybe I'll call it the Rubicon, the ultimate test, the bridge that needs to be crossed would be history, specifically Black history, or rather the history of marginalized people. I will give you this for free, and if you can put it together from here, you should come join my team. It is when we ignore the perspective, what I call the perspective of a worm, right? I want you to consider this, and this is very metaphorical, but I can tell you it was from this two metaphors that I used to develop all of these. The first metaphor was living in a state of Zen and war at the same time, which I believe is the condition that we, the people of good faith, must obtain. We must have peace and be ready for war because that is the nature of society. And then it was the perspective of a worm when we sing the praises of the morning bird. When we ignore the position of the least powerful person in a narrative, when we ignore the position, the power position of the least powerful individual in a historical account, in the hard sciences, you can draw your own analog. It's when we don't consider power perspectives from every possible relative position, particularly the position of the least powerful person. When we don't consider the perspective of a worm, we miss all of the revelations that the universe intended for us to have. Yes, I'm going to leave it there, because to give you more, I'd have to track you down. No, I'm joking. Folks, that's all I have time for. Patrons, thank you so much. I know I've been sharing a little bit of this with you as we've gone through, but I wanted to give this update to everyone publicly as we're moving forward into the next phase of demonstrations. Stay tuned, folks. I won't be gone from my position behind my good microphone much longer as we are wrapping this project up, and I am excited. I am honestly grateful to have been a part of this project and to not only be a part of it, but to be leading it and to be at the stage now where we can start sharing some of our results. And again, if you are particularly a patron or a supporter of my show, I do want to begin with our patrons. But if you are a specialist in any field and you know the nuances and the gaps in your field, I think you might want to give me a call, or at least hit me up on Twitter. Thanks, folks. Love you. I will see you again as soon as I can see you again.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show. If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
We all know a guy who only occasionally shaves for big occasions, and it's because that occasional shave really hurts. It's the time of year for big occasions, and yet there he is, suffering with that cheap drugstore razor. Let's help him out. Henson Shaving's line of razors, built with aerospace precision, deliver a smooth shave your dad, brother, and even son can enjoy, eventually. With replacement blades just 10 cents each, you'll buy it once, and they'll use it for life. How's that for the perfect gift? Celebrate with 100 free blades on your first purchase, and no subscription headaches. HensonShaving.com/holiday.
Fargo, the new virtual assistant from Wells Fargo, makes banking faster and easier. Like this.
Fargo, what's my checking account routing number?
And this.
Fargo, turn off my debit card.
And this.
Fargo, what did I spend on groceries last month?
And that's just the beginning. Do you, Fargo? You can. In the Wells Fargo mobile app. Learn more at wellsfargo.com/getfargo.
Terms and conditions apply. Your mobile carrier's availability and message and data rates may apply. Wells Fargo Bank, N.A., member FDIC.